It was a night of unimaginable horror. A quiet neighborhood was shattered when armed intruders broke into a couple's home. The husband, Jackson, was murdered in cold blood. His wife, Daisy, was abducted at gunpoint, assaulted, and left traumatized. The crime scene was chaotic. Bloodstains, signs of struggle, and chilling evidence of violence. Police launched a massive manhunt, but leads dried up quickly. With no suspects identified, the case turned ice cold. For years, Jackson's murder went unpunished, and Daisy's attacker remained a ghost. But this story doesn't end there. Decades later, forensic science would finally expose the truth, proving that justice can arrive late but never forgets. At the time of the crime, detectives collected critical evidence: fingerprints, fibers, and biological samples. But in the pre-DNA era, they had no way to link it to a killer. The case file gathered dust as years passed. Daisy, though physically recovered, carried the emotional scars forever. Then, in the early 2000s, advances in DNA technology gave the case new life. Crime lab technicians re-examined old evidence, including semen stains on Daisy's clothing. When they ran the sample through updated databases, they got a match: a man already in prison for unrelated crimes. His name? Evans, a violent offender with a history of assaults. Confronted with the DNA evidence, Evans knew he couldn't deny his involvement. But instead of confessing, he chose an Alford plea, a legal maneuver where a defendant doesn't admit guilt, but acknowledges prosecutors have enough proof to convict. This rare plea allowed Evans to avoid a trial while still being held accountable. He was sentenced for Jackson's murder, finally answering for the crime decades later. But there was one tragic twist. Daisy had passed away in 2007, never knowing her attacker had been identified. She lived her whole life without seeing justice served. A heartbreaking reality for so many cold case victims. This case highlights both the power and the limits of forensic science. DNA solved what once seemed unsolvable, yet it came too late for Daisy. It also raises tough questions. Why did it take so long? Could this have been solved sooner? The answers reveal gaps in old investigations, limited technology, misplaced evidence, or simply lack of resources. Yet, this breakthrough also offers hope. If this case could be cracked after decades, how many others still can be? Evans' Alford plea left some unsatisfied. Without a trial, the full truth of that night remains partially hidden. Did he act alone? Were there other attackers? We may never know. But one thing is clear: forensic science is rewriting history, solving crimes once deemed hopeless. For detectives and victims' families, these breakthroughs are bittersweet. Justice delayed is better than justice denied, but the wait can be agonizing. Daisy's story is a reminder that cold cases never truly close. Advances in technology mean killers who thought they got away with murder may still face reckoning. For every case like this one, there are thousands still waiting for answers. The message to criminals is clear: your DNA doesn't forget. And to victims' families, never give up hope. As we reflect on this case, we're left with a sobering thought. How many more Evanses are out there? How many victims never saw justice? The fight continues, but with every DNA match, The shadows where killers hide grow smaller. Share your thoughts below. Should there be a time limit on justice? And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into cases where science finally uncovered the truth. The psychological impact of this crime rippled far beyond the immediate victims. Neighbors who once felt safe in their homes became paranoid, installing security systems and double-checking locks. Local police faced scrutiny for their inability to solve the case quickly, while Daisy's family struggled with the dual trauma of losing Jackson and seeing Daisy's spirit broken. Years later, when Evans was finally identified through DNA, it reopened old wounds for the community. Some found closure in knowing the perpetrator was behind bars, while others remained haunted by unanswered questions. This case exemplifies how violent crimes don't just affect individuals. They fracture entire communities, with effects that linger for generations. Forensic experts point to this case as a textbook example of why preserving evidence is crucial. The biological samples collected from Daisy's clothing in the initial investigation became the key to solving the case decades later. Modern DNA analysis could extract profiles from samples that would have been unusable in earlier decades. This breakthrough has led many police departments to re-examine how they store cold case evidence, with some establishing dedicated forensic archives. The success in this case has also spurred legislation in several states, mandating longer retention periods for biological evidence, ensuring future investigators will have the materials needed to solve crimes as technology advances. Legal scholars continue to debate the implications of Evans' Alford plea. While it secured a conviction, some argue it denied the public a full accounting of the crime. Without a trial, important details about potential accomplices or motives may never surface. Prosecutors defend the plea bargain as necessary when dealing with aged cases where witnesses' memories fade and evidence degrades. This case has become a focal point in discussions about balancing the need for closure with the pursuit of complete justice, especially in cold cases where the passage of time makes traditional prosecutions increasingly difficult. Daisy's tragic death, before seeing justice served, highlights a painful reality of cold case investigations. Many victims and family members pass away before answers come. This has led victim advocacy groups to push for justice in life initiatives, urging law enforcement to prioritize solving cases where victims or key witnesses are elderly or in poor health. Some departments have created cold case units specifically focused on these time-sensitive situations. While nothing can undo the past, these efforts aim to provide whatever measure of justice can be achieved while those most affected are still alive to see it. The story of this case isn't just about crime and punishment. It's about the evolving relationship between technology and justice. From the initial investigation's reliance on eyewitness accounts and basic forensics, to the DNA breakthrough that finally cracked the case, it shows how scientific advances continually reshape our ability to solve crimes. As we enter an era of even more sophisticated forensic techniques like genetic genealogy, This case serves as both inspiration and cautionary tale, reminding us that while technology can provide answers, it's up to society to ensure those answers come in time to matter. What lessons can we take from this decades-long pursuit of justice? First, that violent crimes leave wounds that never fully heal. Second, that persistence in investigations matters, even when cases go cold. And third, that we must continue supporting forensic science advancements while improving how we apply them to old cases. As viewers, we're left to wonder, how many other families are still waiting for answers? How many criminals are living free, unaware their DNA might one day betray them? This case proves that while justice can be delayed, the truth has a way of eventually coming to light. As we conclude this disturbing yet important story, we're reminded that true crime isn't just about sensational details. It's about real people whose lives were forever altered. For Jackson, whose life was brutally cut short. For Daisy, who endured unimaginable trauma and never saw justice served. For their families and community who waited decades for answers. Their story challenges us to support victims, demand better from our justice system, and never forget that behind every cold case statistic are human beings deserving of justice. If this case moves you, consider supporting organizations that help violent crime victims or advocate for cold case investigations. Together, we can help ensure fewer families endure such prolonged suffering.